is all about corporate culture, so it's a little bit of going to be an alternative type of a session. Winston Churchill years and years ago said, first we shape our buildings, then they shape us. So we've got this, so what we're going to dig into now is like structures and corporate structures. So I'm going to introduce you to a couple of folks. Harold, you're here in the room somewhere in Stowe. Yeah. Harold and Stowe, Harold Jarche and Stowe Boyd, good friends. You know, how would I introduce the Stowe Boyd, you know, disruptor of the piece, and Harold, another one. Inviting us all to be in the same room is really as a scary feat. It's dangerous, so I'll not say any more. You guys do your thing.
That media shape us. We make our tools, and they shape us. Modern banking is one of the first things that came along to start the Industrial Revolution. It predates printing. There's a whole torrent of great industrial tools that prove once again that the tools of industrialism is what has shaped our industrial world, which we are still in. It's not over yet. And remember that computers in this era, at least at the very beginning, were not a communication tool. They were number crunchers, which is why we call them computers instead of comm devices. This has created a world, these tools collectively have created a world that we've taken for granted. We are completely shaped by the experience of these media, and this is a world in which we have people working collaboratively for a long period of time in stable organizations, making long-term plans and working against those plans because the rate of change in the outside world has, at least until recently, been slow enough that that worked. But we're at a change point, and that change point is coming because of this. The internet came along. The internet has had an enormous impact, but more interestingly perhaps, and looking at it from a financial viewpoint, the internet is the largest and most expensive human artifact ever created. The unexpected part of the internet turned out to be social networks, a way in which people could communicate directly one-to-one and build something completely different. And what this is leading to is a real change in how organizations, people are going to organize themselves in order to do work and accomplish their aims in the future. They're actually more like a city than an army. This is how businesses are already operating. This is already a change that we're seeing in the world, and now in the United States anyway, over 30% of work being done is done by freelancers, part-timers. I want to hand it over to Harold, who'll go back.
And then, much later, as Stowe was talking about with banks, printing press, is we got tribal, institutional, and markets, things like the Hanseatic League. And more recently now is that we have tribal, institutional, markets, and networks. So when you think about these, is that all of these things exist, but we have networks on top right now. Stowe was talking about, you know, what social networks, social media, what's happening. So the question that I would leave you with is that what happens when you have an organization internally that is more like a market, is more like an institution, outside you have much more networked and connected? Is there tension between that boundary space? What happens? What is that doing internally? What's that doing with people who live, when they go home, they're in a network, and when they come into the organization, they're in an institution? And is there a dynamic tension? Is that fine? Are organizations as we know them, are they going to exist? Or are we going to see things like heterarchies, chaotic organizations, such as the first chaotic organization was the Visa when it came out from the banking industry, or things like hierarchy, which is a new term on that.